They slapped a violation notice on my windshield claiming I was trespassing on my own driveway. Then they threatened to sue me for using the road my grandfather surveyed 70 years ago. And when I put a fence around the lake they'd been bragging about in their glossy brochures, the whole neighborhood froze like I'd just pulled the rug out from under them. When I first came back to the old cabin by Timberline Lake, I thought retirement meant peace. The place had been in my family for decades, built by my grandfather after the war, patched up by my dad, and now mine to live out the years I had left. I wanted quiet evenings, the smell of pine in the air, the sound of frogs at night, and nothing more. But just beyond my property line was Ridge View, a tidy little development with solar panels, manicured lawns, and an HOA run by a woman named Karen McAdams. I didn't know it then, but Karen was about to make my life hell. The first signs seemed almost laughable. A yellow slip tucked under my wiper. Unauthorized use of HOA road. Another stapled to a tree, non-members prohibited. I tossed them in the recycling bin and figured it was a mix-up. But then she showed up in person, short blonde bob red blazer, marching down the road like she owned the forest. She pointed at my truck parked in front of my garage and barked, "You can't park here. This road is HOA maintained." I told her flat out, "This is my driveway. This road's been here since my grandfather put it on a plat map. County records prove it's a public easement." She smirked and introduced herself, Karen McAdams, president of Ridgeview HOA. Her tone was smug enough to make my blood rise. She insisted their bylaws applied to me. I looked her straight in the eye and said, "Not this property, not this road, not now, not ever." That was the start of it. Within days, I was getting metal signs posted at the road entrance, threats of fines, landscapers refusing to work with me because the HOA warned them off. Strangers slowed their SUVs by my property just to glare. And then came the guy in the neon vest with the clipboard taking photos of my mailbox like it was a crime scene. Encroachments, he called them. I wanted to laugh in his face. My mailbox had been in the same spot since the 70s. I called the county, and sure enough they confirmed no HOA jurisdiction on my land, none on the road, and the lake was fully deeded to me. Armed with that, I thought I'd shut this nonsense down. But Karen didn't back off. She doubled down. She sent more letters duct-taped, one right to my front door like a warning. She ordered survey crews onto my land drones, flying over my Lake Orange stakes hammered into the soil as if they were planting their flag. I chased them off more than once. And every night, that same silver Lexus sat idling at the bend in the road, headlights off like a pair of eyes watching me. I started to doubt myself. I sat by the dock with a beer staring at the water, wondering if it was worth it. Maybe I was too old for this fight. Maybe I should sell, walk away, let the HOA have their little empire. I wanted peace, not paranoia. And for the first time I actually asked myself, what if they're right? What if I'm the one being unreasonable? That doubt didn't last long. I ran into an old colleague, Lena, now working for county zoning. When I told her about the harassment, she pulled out her phone and showed me a development filing. There it was, in black and white, a full-page photo of my lake listed as exclusive access for Ridgeview residents. They'd been using my lake to sell houses, pretending it was theirs. My stomach twisted with rage. This wasn't about neighborly misunderstandings. They were stealing my land in broad daylight. That was the turning point. I gathered every document I had. Deeds maps, photos, and I called a fencing company. When the crew showed up with posts and concrete, Karen nearly lost her mind. She stormed down in her pearls and blazer, yelling, "You can't do this. This is community property." I handed her a folder of stamped county documents. Perimeter fencing my land. "My right," I told her. Her face went pale, but she still hissed, "You'll regret this." I smiled. I already regret not doing it sooner. The fence went up piece by piece, black aluminum rising around the lake like a line drawn in steel. By the time it enclosed the gazebo, my grandfather's gazebo, which the HOA had repainted and claimed as their community reflection spot, Karen was pacing outside the gate, snapping photos with her phone like a paparazzi, desperate for dirt. I didn't care. Each panel of that fence felt like armor, like finally breathing again after weeks of suffocation. Of course, they tried one last stunt. Karen arrived with a lawyer and the HOA treasurer pretending to negotiate. The lawyer puffed himself up and said, "We're here to dispute your fencing of shared recreational space." I cut him off. Shared. According to who? Your records. Because the county, the deed, and a plat map signed in 1949 all say otherwise. Karen's voice cracked. "We've used this lake for years," I held up the laminated map. "And for years you've been trespassing. That ends now." But the real fireworks came at their emergency meeting. I stayed outside, but I heard enough. Karen stood at the front of the room trying to spin her story about community harmony and aggressive neighbors. Then one resident shouted, "Did we ever actually own the lake?" Another demanded, "Did you lie to us in the brochures?" The crowd turned. Questions became shouts, and shouts became outrage. Karen stammered, tried to spin it, but the tide had turned. Someone called for a vote on the spot. Within minutes, it was unanimous remove Karen McAdams as president. She left red-faced and trembling, sneaking out the back door while her empire crumbled behind her. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. The next morning, the HOA signs vanished. The mulch piles they'd dumped on my land were gone, and for the first time in months, no one slowed their SUV to glare at me. The silence was louder than any apology. I sat on the dock that night, the fence standing tall behind me, the lake calm and still. They'd tried every trick, threat surveys, fake violations, intimidation. But, in the end, the truth was stronger than their rules. They thought they could erase me with bylaws and paperwork. Instead, they erased their own leader. Sometimes the only way to stop a bully is to draw a line they can't cross and then stand firm while they crash into it.